What is a double standard that really bothers you? Management enforcing rules they break all the time. When I worked at Best Buy, they were strict about cell phones. It was really frustrating getting yelled at by a supervisor or manager to put my phone away, while they're holding a cell phone themselves. I eventually had enough balls to say only if you put yours away first. They never bothered us about it again. Parenting expectations. My wife died when my kids were 11 months and 2 years old. When I took the kids to the grocery store, without fail I'd get comments like, "Oh, daddy's day out." Huh? Breaking point for me was taking them out to eat. I sat there for 20 minutes after being seated, and finally the server came back to the table and goes, "Did you want to try ordering for the kids, or are we still waiting for mom?" I straight up said to her, "Well, we'd be waiting a long time because she's dead. I don't need to try, I can order just fine." I was a single dad for several years when my daughter was young. The worst one was going clothing shopping, and the store employees telling me I couldn't take her into a changing room. No, she's 6, she's not going in there alone. I grew raised in a country that does not encourage the use of personal vehicles. There is a lot of public transportation available. As a result, I have very little mechanical expertise. My white girlfriend, who grew up in the country and whose father is a mechanic, has spent her entire life tinkering with automobiles. When we go to an auto parts store to get something, the salespeople never say anything to her. Even if they ask me a question and she answers, they continue to talk to me as if she doesn't exist. It's unbelievable. They don't seem to notice her. She's gone to job interviews for mechanical jobs where the interviewer asks her extremely simple and dismissive questions because they don't believe she can understand what they're asking. It's weird for me to babysit my nephews or even pick them up from daycare. I get weird looks. I'm guessing you're male. I have friends, a married couple, Christy and Rick. Christy is Caucasian and has light skin, dark brown hair and blue eyes. Rick is Hispanic with dark skin, brown eyes and black hair. They have a daughter, Leah, who has light skin, blue eyes and medium brown hair, though she is technically biracial. She passes for Caucasian. Rick will often take his own daughter out with him to run errands, go to the movies or mall, etc. On several occasions, the police have been called because people think he's kidnapped his own daughter. He's actually been hassled by police for this. It's crazy. Playing a video game in the evening is considered a bad habit and bad for you. Yet the same people who say that spend every minute home either watching TV or on their phone. Men don't get abused. My ex-wife used to beat the hell out of me. My skin doesn't bruise easily, so most of the time she didn't leave a mark. She would throw her elbow into my ribs because I was snoring. One time she cracked 2 of them and I had to go to the ER because it hurt to breath. When we got there she freaked out because she thought I was going to have her arrested. The nurse asked her to step out and she asked me if my wife was hurting me based on the x-ray. When I told her what happened she acted like she was appalled. 20 minutes later the charge nurse came in and said laughing that I should stop snoring so much then I might not get my ribs cracked. Tracked down my original nurse and asked what happened and she said that because I was a man and there was no place for me to go, the ER just ignored men who came in that were being abused. Learning how to do girls' hair. Around my area a man would be called gay by doing girls' hair. I want to learn and get better at doing my 5-year-old daughter's hair. Nothing extreme. Just the regular nice stuff I guess. Braids, ponytails and other cool stuff like that. Men around here only do men's hair, but women can do both men's and women's hair. My old man was in the military and he braided my hair so much. He learned it while being in the field and bored out of his mind. He would make these rope-like braids that I would take out in the morning for school. A teacher asked if I got a perm. I had no idea what that was, but I'd proudly say nope. My dad did my hair. He also learned how to use a sewing machine to sew on his patches for his uniform. I always thought it was so cool being taught how to sew from my dad. If I'm with my kids without the missus around, people ask if I'm babysitting. No bitch, they're my kids. I'm parenting. Don't judge a book by its cover, but first impressions are everything. You are not allowed to be emotional or show emotions, but you should do it. That gay men can't be misogynists. Sometimes they are the worst. In India, everyone wants signal, but they don't want mobile/cell towers in their area. Men can't be victims of sexual abuse because we are the primary abusers. I have to show up on time for an interview, but it's fine when an interviewer is late. There's a huge difference between a personal emergency and poor planning. That everyone else is allowed to state their opinion, but I'm just supposed to sit there and keep my mouth shut. Projects and initiatives for the betterment of society, social safety net, healthcare, superannuation, infrastructure, drain the system, but when it's time to bail out large corporations, increase wages of already rich and successful people tenfold, or pay someone large amounts for a dodgy little scheme on the side, there's seemingly endless cash lying around. Fuck politicians. A double standard that affects me constantly is it's socially acceptable to ask people why are you so skinny, but it's totally unacceptable and inappropriate to ask people why are you so fat. I myself as a male am called skinny and have been called anorexic. Unknown to people, there are reasons I am the size I am due to medical issues. I've had times where people who were fairly overweight would ask me, "Man, you're so skinny," and I constantly think in my head what would happen if I said, "Man, you're so fat." I used to work at a place where the importance hierarchy was, people with kids, married people, no kids, single people at that time. We were meeting to discuss a big release with a lot of things happening. The head honcho said okay. Dulce et banana will come in at 2:30 am to starts, something, and moved on to the next item. I said wait, how is that my job with no discussion? Because it's either you or Dave, and Dave's got 2 kids. You're single. Of course it's to you. I pointed out Dave's kids would be sound asleep at 2:30 am and maybe I should find a kid who wants in on the deal, and got written up for it. Fuck them. They went out of business a year later anyway. Woman is good with kids equals man is good with kids equals better keep an eye on him. He's up to something. Or let's just attack him anyway. Better safe than sorry. That a man can't be at a park with young children without being creepy. I had my niece and nephew. They are a little darker than me and have curly hair because of their dad. My sister and I are of a lighter complexion and have straight hair. This lady had the audacity to ask them if they were okay and needed help to get away from me. They told them I was their mom's brother. Lady didn't believe them and called the cops. Luckily the cop that came knew my brother-in-law and said I was free to go. One set of laws for the rich and powerful. Another set for the poor and powerless. I, 30F, have been doing Muay Thai for a couple of years. And at my current gym we have twice a week classes where we do light/touch sparring. This means light or no contact. Most of the big guys and strong fighters get the message. But most older guys, newer guys, and several women/girls don't seem to think this rule applies to them and come in throwing haymakers and full force kicks. And they don't really get stopped. Some of us have actual fights coming up and we don't want to get injured the week before because someone had something to prove. You get in ahead of everyone else, and no one notices or cares. But, God forbid, you depart before everyone else and are a slug. No. I work the same number of hours, if not more, than you. You weren't here to see it, but that doesn't mean I wasn't there. At one point when I had not long started working, I had to get a lift with my dad on his morning commute. He left very early, meaning I was there from 5:30 am. I usually picked up extra work when I got in. Stayed my whole usual work day anyway without asking questions. But one day I wasn't feeling great, so asked if I could leave early. Didn't think it would be an issue since I had already worked my contracted hours. Got massively told off over it, as working outside of office hours doesn't count as work. Stopped putting in extra work or going out of my way to help them after that. You never open up and share your feelings with me. Greater than don't be so sensitive. Be more of a man. My ex was guilty of this. I struggle and did struggle during that time with major depression, and she would literally be like, "Why are you so sad? Stop. You're making me sad." Pretty much verbatim. But when I would wall myself off to protect her and myself, it was also a problem. In her defense, of course, neither of us knew what was going on and that relationship wasn't healthy on either end of the spectrum. But it's definitely given me decent trauma I'm still trying to get over. Right pointing finger, cool face, right pointing finger. Girls can join Boy Scouts but boys can't join Girl Scouts. What if my son wants to do crafts, learn songs, and sell cookies? Men expecting women to shave their legs. Shave your own legs, Kyle. Rolling eyes face. Men can't fight back against a woman who is literally beating them. It's much harder for a female mechanic when men assume you don't know what you're doing and request a man to inspect your work. I've seen celebs on Instagram who champion against body shaming, yet repost memes mocking men with small dicks. So we shouldn't shame obese women but can shame men who have to deal with what they were born with. There's no dick enlargement surgery, yet there's weight loss surgery. There's breast enlargement surgery, and there's the opposite. Especially people like small tits, large tits, tiny bodies, and large bodies. The percentage who prefer small dicks and won't end a relationship because of one is small, which is understandable. Sexual fulfillment can be a big part of relationships. It's just a shame how open people are about the demeaning of small dicks in an age of acceptance. Either accept all body types or allow people to say I don't like X on a person and allow them that opinion. If someone says I'd never date someone with a small dick, a man should be allowed to say he'd never date a fat person. Just seems like dick shaming is the last publicly okay body shaming, and it hurts to see yes I have a tiny dick. Start the okay tiny dick comments. Hopefully I don't come off to incel like. Everyone should be allowed their preferences. Doesn't mean we should shame those who we don't prefer. Yeah, nobody should be shaming anyone's body. End of story. I'm sorry if you've been made fun of for this. Plenty of men with smaller than average penis have fulfilling sexual relationships, as do plenty of obese women. It should be as simple as moving on politely when someone doesn't fit your preference. Black people can't be racist. I'm Indian, not Native American. I was in New York for a bit, and I experienced more racism at the hands of black people than I did from white folk.